Today's gospel reading tells us about those noted and often referenced New Testament sisters, Martha and Mary. Now, what caught my eye in this story is that we hear all about Martha, the perfect hostess. We hear all about her problems, but we do not hear one word from her sister Mary, the silent slacker. And in this parable, Jesus comes into town and Martha invites him into her home. Martha loves Jesus, and she sees cooking and hospitality as a way to serve the Lord, literally. So she gets to work, and she expects Mary to help her. And does Mary help her? No. Mary sits. Now, at first glance, this story might seem to be a little bit lopsided. All about Martha and her hospitality, her responsibilities, and her feelings. So, in order to take a good look and to be fair, I decided to look at Mary. And I tried to imagine how Mary might have felt on that day. And here's the scenario as I envisioned it. Now I see Jesus, the teacher, sitting on the floor, and Mary sitting at her feet. That's the traditional posture of a student. And Mary is absorbed in his teaching. And I don't know how many people were there because only 3 are mentioned: Jesus, Mary, and Martha. But I can see Mary sitting there, totally immersed. And perhaps she's thinking thoughts like this. This is so awesome, she thinks. Jesus here in our home with us. And what I am learning is so exciting. I am loving this because I so seldom get to hear him. What is this with Martha? She's sidling up to Jesus. She wants him to tell me to get off my duff and help her. I love you to death, Martha. That one, really. Now, speaking for myself, I can relate to Mary, and maybe some of you can too. Have you ever been in a situation like that? A situation where you know very well what your talents, desires, and passions and where they lay, and someone wants you to conform to their idea of what you should and should not do. But before we get too carried away beating up on the Marthas of the world, be they male or female, let's take a moment and imagine how Martha might have felt. So how about this scenario? I can see Martha as she sits and listens to Jesus, soaking in his words, and she thinks to herself, this is so wonderful, having Jesus here in my home. I truly do love to listen and learn from him. Oh dear, he's looking a little on the thin side, a little peaked. I wonder if he's getting enough to eat. Oh, thank heavens, he's eating at my table. I've prepared a lot. But what if it isn't enough? Oh, I better go roast that lamb I've been saving. He likes lamb. And Mary really has to help me. And I don't care what Mary might say. This is not a control issue. It is merely good planning and attention to detail. All the details. Well, I do need help. So I'll just go up to Jesus and ask him to tell her to help me. Now, unfortunately, I can relate to Martha too. And maybe some of you can too. Have you ever been in a position of leadership or responsibility where you feel that the teamwork and attention to detail is critical? This is where your expectations go beyond good enough and you feel the team is not responding appropriately? I've been there. But back to that parable. What will Jesus do? Will he look up at Martha and reply, "Oh, right, Martha. So sorry about that. I was so busy in teaching and failed to notice that Mary was not living up to her womanly duties. Your criticism of her is spot on, and I shall indeed correct her." In other words, will Jesus live up to Martha's expectations. Well, the gospel tells us what Jesus said to this very good and very loving woman. First, he commiserated with Martha. And then he told her that she was so distracted by all those details that she missed the point, the focus of his teaching. And Mary did not. Then Jesus really messed with her mind and her view of the world. He went on to invite Martha, a woman, to join Mary at his table. Jesus invited Martha to think and do like Mary, to think beyond those gender roles and beyond limitations. He invited Martha to his table and to his banquet. He flipped the tables on her, and that's the good news. His invitation is the good news. Jesus invites everyone to come and sit at his table, and he will feed them. Everyone is welcome at his table. All of us. You, me, the outcasts, the sinners, the Gentiles, the women. Every one of us is a beloved child of God. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is equal at his banquet. That invitation to all of us is the good news. But what about those distractions that Jesus talked about? Those distractions that Martha, I, all prey to. While Mary did not. Mary kept the focus. I think the focus that is so vital to Jesus is this. The focus is that we are to learn to live and grow so into Christ that our discipleship and our ministries more fully represent the love of Jesus. And while we cannot literally sit at the feet of Jesus in order to grow in love and knowledge like Mary did, what we can do is to look very carefully at our life and identify those distractions that pull us away from Jesus, and then focus on what brings us back to Jesus, to relationship with him. And then we can search for, focus on practices that strengthen our relationship with Jesus. And daily prayer, as you well know, is always on the top of that list for spiritual growth. And our church offers opportunities right now for our study. We can join the book discussion on the underground church that meets Wednesday evenings. Or we could accept the Bishop's Bible Challenge and join the Wednesday morning discussion. And Father Tom assures us that it doesn't matter if we have caught up on the reading. And if you're interested in a seminar type setting, EFM is perfect. EFM stands for Education for Ministry, and remember, we are all ministers. And that will resume in September, and we have openings. Now, why is the spiritual growth that Christ talks about so important, so vital? It is important because Christ is expecting us to grow so that we will invite each and every one of his beloved children to his table, just as he did. And he is looking for us to do more than just talk the talk. He expects us to walk the walk, just like he did. And how do we learn the walk? Like he said, through prayer and study. And that walk, the way, is vital. Because if we Christians, the followers of Christ, do not act as Christ did, then who will? Amen.